Starting with Backgammon, it was made around 5,000 years ago and popularized by ancient Romans. It was first called Duodecim Scripta et Tabulae, or tables for short. Many Roman emperors were skilled in this game, and Emperor Nero would even bet what is equivalent to $10,000 today on every single game. The word backgammon never appeared in text until around 1645, and then throughout the second millennium, artwork involving backgammon started popping up everywhere. They usually depicted bar fights with people arguing over the game because they would bet money on it. Authorities eventually tried banning the game due to the gambling aspect, but the game remained popular amongst many. But by 1920, the Roaring Twenties were happening in New York City, and it became inefficient to make money off the game because the game took too long and no one bet enough money. Later on, people made a multiplayer version called Chouette, which helped the game regain its popularity. It comes in a suitcase, making it nice and portable. The objective of the game is to move all your pieces to your own home, which is on the opposite side of the board, and bear your pieces off the board by any means necessary, which may involve taking out opponents' pieces. Next up is Parcheesi. Parcheesi was made in India and is the national game of India. It is known as one of the oldest board games of all time. Indian emperors used to play the game using real women as their game pieces. It used to be played with two teams of multiple people against each other, but then there is a more well-known British version which made the game 4 people alone against each other. The game then blew up and was the most popular game of the late 60s. Players move along the board counterclockwise. The objective is to bring all your pieces home first. You get extra bonuses for eliminating other players, and you can even set up blockades that no one can get through no matter what. Out of all the games, this one rewards players most for playing aggressive instead of passive. Next up is Sorry. The game was made in 1929 in the United Kingdom and sold by the Waddington brothers. Then it was patented in America on April 11, 1933, and adopted by the Parker brothers and is distributed today by Hasbro. The objective is to go around the board and back into your safety spot by any means, including elimination of other opponents. That would be a good time to say sorry. The game also contains sorry sliders. When a player lands on the beginning of the slider, it must move all the way across, taking all other enemy pawns along the way. And finally, in our list of game is Trouble. Trouble was launched 1965 in the United States. It was made based off an English game and German game that were both based off the game Parcheesi. Trouble is different from many games where you don't use cards or dice. You use a pop-o-matic with a dice inside it to decide your role. The objective is to get all your pawns around the board and back into your safe zone. You can also bump players back to their home in this as well, whatever is needed to win. Now we have to talk about what is similar and different between all 4 of these board games we just talked about. So, we're going to start with what is similar. Some things that are similar is the ability to eliminate opponents' pieces. Another thing that is the same is that every single game has around the same objective: to move around the whole entire game board and then back into a safety zone of your own before the rest of the players. Another thing that is the same is that every single game you move counterclockwise around the board. And then for all the games, there are restrictions to get in. For each and every single game, to get back into the game, you must roll or pick up a certain number. That is what's the same. Now to talk about some of the differences in each and every single one of the games. Now, each and every single game, of course, has a different board. In Backgammon, you are allowed to have multiple pieces of your own color on your own places in the board. Not every other game has that. Parcheesi, though, does allow you to put 2 on one spot, but that's for a blockade and it can't be more than 2. In Backgammon, you can put as many as you want. Backgammon is also only a 2-player game, where Parcheesi, Trouble, and Sorry are all 4-player games. Trouble uses the pop-o-matic with 1 dice, whereas Backgammon and Parcheesi use 2 dice, and Sorry uses cards to decide your turn. They of course have different rules, and, like we talked about before, have a different history for each of them as well. That was a brief history over the board games Backgammon, Parcheesi, Sorry, and Trouble. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great day.